Welcome back to this 2020 Toronto Blue Jays sim using Out of the Park Baseball 21. I'm JayBlue, author of Blue Jays from Away and the 2020 Minor League Toronto Blue Jays Minor League Handbook, and thanks to GM Games for hosting us on their YouTube channel. Check out some of their other feeds that they've got. So here we are on June 15th. We've simmed the last week. We're now a week past the draft, and we've had a few interesting things happen this week. The first thing that I've just noticed here is that Danny Jimenez, he was taken in the Rule 5 draft. He has been returned to us, so we're going to actually send him down to the New Hampshire Fisher Cats. Well, this is also a mistake here. It says that he has to be on the 40-man roster. That's actually not true. We do have one space remaining, so I'm actually going to put him on the 40-man roster. I don't have to remove anybody. But when a player is returned in the Rule 5 draft, this is actually a mistake that they've made here with Out of the Park Baseball. Somebody's been taken on in the Rule 5 draft and released by another team or returned from another team back to the original team. That player is not on the 40-man roster, does not have to be on the 40-man roster. So that's actually important. The other thing that we've gotten here is we had an injury to Thomas Hatch, and we'd sort of been waiting for that information to become clear. It wasn't too long ago. It was just trying to check out when this happened, but he is gone for 6 to 7 months. So he's actually, I think, been put on the injured list already. Usually the AI is handling that. So let's go through this past week. We've taken care of a little business. And let's take a look at what happened this last week. So as you can see here, we went 4-2. We faced the Seattle Mariners and the Detroit Tigers. In this first game, the loss, it was basically the bullpen kind of, I think, exploded a little bit with Yamaguchi giving up, 4 runs on a home run, of course. Hyunjin Ryu was okay. Jacob Waguespack was very strong out of the bullpen. And we did get home runs from Randall Grichuk and Bo Bichette in this one. Game 2, a 13-inning win. Really nicely played game here. And we had Tanner Roark with a solid start. Yamaguchi gave up another home run. Dolis gave up a home run. But Ken Giles struck out 4 in 2 innings. Wilmer Font solid again. And Trent Thornton with 1/3 of an inning to pick up the win. So he kind of came in and vultured that win. Home runs, 2 from Vladdy Guerrero. So Vladdy Guerrero is up to 15. I think that puts him in the lead with the team. He's tied now with Randall Grichuk with 15. Gurriel also hit 2, and he's right behind them with 14. And a solid game from Bo Bichette. He was 2 for 6. Let's move along to this 8-1 win over Seattle. Offensively, we got a home run from Guerrero. He's up to 16 with the team lead now. Rowdy Tellez hit 2. He's up to 13. And Bo Bichette hit 1. Bichette was 1 for 4. On the mound, Nate Pearson, 6 scoreless innings, 3 hits, 4 walks, 7 strikeouts. That walk figure is a little high. Let's take a look. He's pretty much maxed out his control. I would like to see those walks go down. Hopefully it's an adjustment thing. Ryan Borucki was in the game. Trent Thornton, 2/3 of an inning to finish it off. We opened the series with Detroit with a 3-2 loss. Matt Shoemaker was actually pretty strong in this one. He pitched the full game. 8 innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, 5 strikeouts. But those 2 home runs, again, we've already looked at Shoemaker. Shoemaker has a 40 movement rating, and that's going to lead to a lot of home runs for him. Vladdy Guerrero Jr., another home run. He's been absolutely outstanding this week so far. I think he's got 4 home runs this week. And Grichuk with a double, Gurriel with 2 hits. A 10-6 win. Bo Bichette, he had a monster day. He went 4 for 6 with a pair of home runs, 6 RBI. Derek Fisher also went deep off former Blue Jay Matt Boyd. Really a nice guy, too. I had an opportunity to interview Matt Boyd back in the day when he was still with the Blue Jays. So, really nice guy. Vladdy Guerrero, 2 for 5. Lourdes Gurriel, 2 for 4. Brandon Drury, 2 for 4. Drury's been hitting pretty well. We've been giving him more time at the plate, especially against left-handed pitchers like Boyd. So he's been actually producing pretty well. On the mound, Sean Reed Foley, 5 innings, 8 hits, 4 runs, 6 strikeouts, and 5 walks. Wagaspak picked up the win, but he did give up 2 runs in 2 1/3 innings. Raphael Dolis, solid outing for him. Reed Foley was injured while pitching. It's a minimal strained abdominal muscle, so we're not going to worry too much about that. So Reed Foley was the guy who came up to take Chase Anderson's spot. And finally, another 8-1 win. This was against former Blue Jay Daniel Norris. And Norris didn't last very long, just 2 1/3 innings. Hyunjin Ryu, 1 run over 8 2/3 innings, an outstanding start for Ryu. 6 hits, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. And Ryan Baraki finished the game. And another home run for Vladdy Guerrero, Brandon Drury with a home run, Randall Grichuk with a home run. 3 for 5 game for Vladdy. So that's, great to see from Vladdy, of course. We'll just check the messages, see who the player of the week was. That's 5 home runs in a week is pretty that's a pretty solid resume for the week and could get him an AL player of the week, but he didn't. It was actually Gleyber Torres, who had 4 home runs, 480. I tend to find that the AI goes with more batting average. If you have a guy who hits close to 500, that's going to be pretty solid for a player of the week, and if they have some power with that, that's pretty good too. So I tend to find that if you have a guy with batting average, and it may have been that Guerrero, may not have had as high a batting average as Gleyber Torres this past week. So the Buffalo Bisons really were pretty awful. They were 1-5. Losing to the Norfolk Tide, the Baltimore Orioles AAA club, and the Durham Bulls, the Tampa Bay Rays AAA club. Sean Reed Foley had a decent start in his first outing, and that's what got him his promotion to Toronto. I think I'm looking at I'm looking at a different game, but here we had Philippe Aumont. He was solid. Connor Fisk, very good. He's been absolutely outstanding this year. We had 2 hits from Santiago Espinal. Teoscar Hernandez, who is now off the injured list, and he is rehabbing. So he may be back soon with the Blue Jays. In fact, I think I may have brought him back up. I did bring him back up throughout this week. So he's been fairly solid. Anthony Alford showing more life here. 2 hits. And Riley Adams, I'm thinking Russ Adams. That's a blast from the past, former prospect. Anyway, we lost the second game 2-1. Alford went 0 for 3. Kivlahan with a home run, and Thomas Pannone, a solid start here for the Bisons, and Julian Merriweather was also fairly solid. 10-2 loss against Norfolk. Not much offense. Teoscar had a single and 2 walks. Andy Burns hit a double, Caleb Joseph hit a double, and Ruben Tejada hit a double. James Dykstra, not as great in that starting role, 5 runs, but 3 were earned. Jackson McClellan gave up 4 runs, and Jake Petrichka finished it off there. And against Durham opening that series, we had Billy McKinney. He was sent back down to Buffalo when Teoscar Hernandez came up, so he had a couple hits, including his 8th home run and a triple. Andy Burns with a couple of hits as well. Curtis Taylor, outstanding start here from Taylor. 5 1/3 scoreless innings. Hector Perez, after promoted, so he was promoted as well. He gave up a walk and struck out 1 2/3. Kirby Sneed, Anthony Bass. He is on a rehab assignment, and Ty Tice took the loss. He had a rough week the week before and doesn't look like this week is going any better. 9-2 loss to Durham. TJ Zoik, not a bad start, but Petrichka, Perez, and Saucedo gave up the bulk of the runs there. We had home runs from Jonathan Davis and Billy McKinney. Billy McKinney's, I think he's taken that demotion a little hard, thinking, okay, I got to play my way back to the majors. And the only win of the week for the Bisons here, 4-3 win, Patrick Kivlahan with a 14th home run, Andy Burns with his 9th, and Philippe Aumont with an okay start. I mean, 2 earned runs in 4 innings is okay. Connor Fisk, again, is showing himself to be quite outstanding in a long relief role. And Ty Tice gets his 10th save of the year. So that's the Bisons. Let's take a look at the Fisher Cats. Fisher Cats, a solid week, 4-2. They're not a great team, but they've actually really pulled together to win 4 games this week. A 4-3 loss to start the week with the Erie Seawolves. They're the Detroit Tigers. They're the Tigers AA affiliate. I've been to Erie. It's not a great park. I'm not a big fan of the town. If you ever find me offline, I'll tell you about my wonderful Airbnb experience in Erie, the one time I did go. But we had a great game here from Christian Williams, who hit a double. He was 4 for 4. Alejandro Kirk, 2 for 4 with a walk and a double. Ryan Noda, 2 for 4 with a walk, a double, and a couple of RBI. Joey Murray, 6 innings, 4 runs, 5 strikeouts. And Justin Dillon finished that game off. 2-1 win here against Erie. The starter was Sean Weimer. That's another good start, 2nd in a row for Weimer. Travis Bergen, solid outing. Turner Larkins gave up a run. On the offensive side, Kevin Vicuña and Cullen Large hit doubles. Kevin Smith, 2 for 3. Josh Palacios, 2 for 3. And Gabriel Guerrero had 2 outfield assists, so some nice defense there. In a bit of a slugfest, Fisher Cats take it in the top of the 9th, scoring a run, the 10th run of the game. Demi Ormaloy with the go-ahead run in the top. Ormaloy was 2 for 4. We got home runs from Palacios and Noda. And Alejandro Kirk was 2 for 4. Brock Lundquist, 2 for 3 with a walk. 2 for 6 for Palacios. So Kevin Vicuña was 2 for 4 with a double. Lots of good offense in this game, and Andrew Sopko gave up 5 runs. Maximo Castillo, he's really struggling this season. 3 more runs. Brad Wilson with a run in a third of an inning, and Turner Larkins finished that off. Facing Altoona, the Curve, the Pittsburgh Pirates AA affiliate, we had a couple hits from Palacios in this 3-2 win. Palacios hit a run-scoring single in the top of the 9th to help win the game, give us the lead. The tie came from Christian Williams with a run-scoring single. Where is Williams here? He was a pinch hitter, so he didn't actually drive in a run. He just scored a run. Ormaloy with an RBI, 2 hits for Palacios, including that RBI single at the end of the game, and Ryan Noda and Demi Ormaloy hit doubles. Patrick Murphy, solid outing here. He's been hopefully righting the ship, and Jake Fishman with 3 strong innings in the pen. 9-7 win for the Fisher Cats against the Altoona Curve. Gabriel Guerrero, a big game, 3 for 5, as was Kevin Smith. Guerrero hit a triple. Smith hit a double. Got doubles from Ormaloy, Large, Warmoff, Kevin Vicuña. On the mound, Josh Winkowski got hit hard. 6 runs, 5 earned in 2 innings. Justin Dillon, not bad, but 3 walks and 3 2/3. John Harris, 2 1/3 with solid outing. And Jency Diaz, he's back off the injured list. He came off the 60-day injured list. I'm going to just sort of see if he's going to get a role in the rotation, but he got the save. And finally, we had a 5-2 loss. Just 6 hits here, including a home run from Ormaloy. He seems to be heating up as well, so that's nice to see. A good Canadian boy. We also had a double from Alejandro Kirk, who also took a walk, which seems to be his modus operandi, his MO. He'll get a double and a walk. He's got 17 doubles already. Joey Murray with the outing. All 4 runs that he gave up were unearned. He struck out 6, so not a bad outing. Just 3 hits, 3 walks. Bergen with 1 run, 4 walks, and 2 2/3. And moving to the Dunedin Blue Jays. The Dunedin Blue Jays sort of had a split week. They went 3-4, 2 shutouts. Actually, all their wins were shutouts. 2-0 against Lakeland with 2 runs in the 9th. Otto Lopez and Chavez Young with a 2-run home run. And that was pretty much all the offense. They only had 2 hits. So the 2-run home run for Chavez Young was really all of it. Alek Manoah, great start here. 8 strikeouts, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 walk. That's what we want to see from Alek Manoah. And another shutout here, 3-0. We got the runs a little earlier on and had a few more hits, 10 hits for the Blue Jays. Otto Lopez with 3 of them, including a couple of doubles. Chavez Young with a couple hits, Chris Beck with a couple of doubles, and Samad Taylor hit a double. Graham Spraker, 10 strikeouts in 7 1/3 innings. That's a fantastic start. He is the player of the game quite easily. Rain delay of 34 minutes in the 9th inning. We had Juan DePaula and Marcus Reyes finish that game off. A loss to Lakeland, 6-2, and we had a couple hits from Reggie Pruitt, 3 from Samad Taylor. Griffin Conine hit a pair of doubles. And Simeon Woods Richardson, solid outing for him, even though he takes the loss. 6 innings, 2 runs, 6 hits, 5 strikeouts. Alex Nolan, 3 strikeouts in 1 2/3. So that's a nice outing for Nolan. Against Palm Beach, these are the Palm Beach Cardinals. So you can tell who they are the affiliate of. We have here Reggie Pruitt, Samad Taylor with a double, Jake Brote with a double as part of 2 hits. Otto Lopez with an error, and we had an outfield assist from Pruitt. Justin Maesi was hit hard, giving up a home run, 7 hits, 7 runs, 6 earned. Jackson Rees, 2 runs, but none were earned. Sean Rakowski, 2 runs, and Troy Watson finished the game. 4-0 win against Palm Beach. Pitching-wise, Elvis Luciano strong here. 4 hits, 3 walks, 6 1/3, but 8 strikeouts. That's nice to see. And Braden Bushey, good Canadian boy, 2 hits, 2 innings, nothing else. And Luciano was player of the game. We had a home run from Otto Lopez, his 2nd of the year, and 2 hits from Chris Beck, 2 hits from Jake Brote. A 4-3 loss here. Alek Manoah, another strong start. He threw 85 pitches. We're going to ease off that 85 pitch limit. We're going to change that to 95. We're going to try to get him some more innings, but 5 strikeouts, but the 6 walks, again, that's pretty problematic. Mike Ellenbest, he had the hold, but the blown save and the loss went to Cree Finfrock. Hitting-wise, just 2 hits for Conine, 3 hits for Nick Podcool, including a double. And that was it, except for the single by Ryan Gold, who also drove in a run. And the last game of the week, a 1-0 loss to the Palm Beach Cardinals. 3 hits for the Blue Jays, Samad Taylor, Chavez Young, Chris Beck. Graham Spraker, another strong outing. 6 innings, 1 run, 2 hits, 3 walks, 5 strikeouts. And now we take a look at the Lansing Lugnuts. Lugnuts went 4-3, starting with a loss in 15 innings to the Great Lakes Loons. Lots of offense here. LJ Talley with a home run. Talley was 2 for 8. Trevor Schwecke was 2 for 5. Yorman Rodriguez 2 for 5. 3 for 7 for Jesus Lopez. Will Robertson was 3 for 8. And Tanner Morris 2 for 7. Just an interesting note that on the injured list is Cameron Eden. He went on the list last week, so probably the best offensive player is not on the team, but it's going to get Hunter Steinmetz a lot of action. Steinmetz and Tanner Kerr are probably the 2 guys who are going to trade off. 2 doubles for Robertson, 2 doubles for Morris, a double for Talley, double for Rodriguez. Lots of offense in this one, but Juan Nunez was just hammered. 8 runs in 2 2/3. McCaffrey gave up a couple runs, and then the bullpen really held it down. Grayson Huffman, 3 scoreless innings. Josh Hyatt, 2 scoreless innings. Luis Quinones, Hobie Harris, and it was Fitz Stadler who ultimately took the loss, giving up those 4 runs without getting anybody out. Followed that up with an 11-4 win over Great Lakes. Great Lakes is another really nice ballpark. It's a smaller place in Midland, Michigan, about an hour and a half away from Lansing. And it's a really pretty ballpark, very intimate. It's a smaller park, about 3,500 seats, but you can get really close to the action there. In this one, we had a big game from McGregory Contreras, 3 for 5, 5 RBI. We had home runs from Brett Wright. We had a home run from Trevor Schwecke. That was his first of the year. Schwecke was 2 for 3. I believe we just moved Schwecke up from the Vancouver Canadians. We're going to take a look at how we're setting up those rosters as we're getting ready to start the short season very soon. Kyle Johnston, not a great outing. Juan Diaz, Grayson Huffman again. He comes back after throwing 3 innings and is nice. Is kind of not great, 2 hits in the inning, but he gets the job done. Luke Gillingham and Will McCaffer finish it off. 11-8 win over Great Lakes. Steinmetz here with a couple RBI, 3 hits for Eric Rivera, who I also promoted from the lower minor leagues to make some room. I did some work on the rosters in the lower minor leagues just to make some room for some of the new guys we drafted. Will Robertson with 3 hits, McGregory Contreras, that's his second multi-hit game in a row. Jesus Lopez with a home run, 2 walks, 3 runs scored, 3 RBIs. Excellent game for him. Robertson, Rivera, and Steinmetz with doubles. On the mound, Jared DeCesare, not a great outing, but the bullpen mostly held things together. Stadler gave up a run. Huffman gave up a run. His 3rd game in a row, so he needs a little bit of a break. But eventually, Josh Hyatt finished it off with his 15th save. Opening the series against Dayton, we took a loss. Another hit for Steinmetz. That's a double for him. Tanner Morris had 2 doubles. He was 4 for 5, so a great game for Tanner Morris. And Contreras, another strong game, 2 for 5 for him. I moved up Brody Rodning from the minors. This is probably a rustiness result. He hasn't pitched yet all year. He was in the lower minors for some reason, but Brody Rodning, he's pitched in Lansing before, was injured a lot of the year last year, so I thought I'd bring him up to Lansing, and he, not doing too well in that game, but I have a feeling that's rust more than anything. Donnie Sellers was outstanding in relief, and Hobie Harris finished it off. A 4-3 loss against the Dayton Dragons for the second game of the series. Home run from Will Robertson, but nobody got more than 1 hit, and a double for McGregory Contreras. Adam Kloffenstein, solid game here, 4 runs in 7 innings, 5 strikeouts. I like the 1 walk, so that's nice to see. A 6-3 win, and we had 3 hits from Hunter Steinmetz, including a double. He's got doubles in 3 or 4 games in a row. Jesus Lopez 2 for 5, Will Robertson 2 for 5. Robertson hit a double, so did Lopez. Really nice work for these guys, and Hagen Danner with a couple of hits here. Hunter Steinmetz also with a stolen base. Juan Nunez, 6 innings, 3 runs, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. Nice game for Nunez. Stadler, one of his few games without giving up a run, and Josh Hyatt, his 16th save. So that, we have one more game. Sorry, 12-0 win. Couldn't avoid to, couldn't not show you this masterpiece here. Hunter Steinmetz, a couple hits, 3 RBIs, 2 walks. He hit a home run. That was his first of the year. Hagen Danner with a home run, 2 for 5 there. Tanner Morris, 3 for 4 with 3 singles, 3 RBI, 3 singles for Jesus Lopez. Really well-played game overall. Kyle Johnston, strong game. That's probably his best game all year. 7 1/3, 1 hit, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. And he's the player, not the player of the game. I thought that Johnson would be player of the game, but he was Hunter Steinmetz, setting the Lansing regular season record with runs in 4. And so that is the week that was. Let's take a look now. I just want to go through the lineups for these teams. So that's giving us batting stats for AAA. We don't want AAA here. We are in A-ball. So here's our stats. Will Robertson is injured, so we still have that diagnosis pending. So we may bring up an outfielder or a first baseman from Vancouver at some point to have to replace him, and that would be next sim. he's really bringing it lately. He's got his OPS plus to 105. Tanner Morris, 135 there. LJ Talley is almost league average. Jesus Lopez is outstanding. Trevor Schwecke getting a chance in through 7 games. He's got a 147 OPS plus. Hunter Steinmetz continues to swing a hot bat and really produce for the Lansing Lugnuts. Let's look at the Lugnuts injured list. I mean, this is a who's who. We've got Cameron Eden, who will come off the IL next week. Jordan Groshans with his torn thumb ligament. Grant Townsend, 3 to 4 months. Kobe Johnson is unknown how long he'll be gone. Edison Gonzalez, 6 months. Eric Pardino, 9 months. Nick Fraze for 3 weeks. So we've got lots of players on the injured list here. In terms of our pitchers, we've got 15 pitchers. That's a decent number. I actually like 14, 15 pitchers in the lower minor leagues, even in the upper minor leagues. Hyatt's been doing pretty well again. Donnie Sellers, pretty strong. I do want to see the strikeouts come up a little bit for him. Luke Gillingham, he's been in and out of the rotation, but we've got Brody Rodning there now. For Dunedin, our pitchers, Luciano's been very good since joining the rotation of the Dunedin Blue Jays. Alec Manoah has been good in his last couple starts. Spraker has been outstanding. Mayasi has been a little bit shaky the last couple starts. Juan DePaula seems to be our closer now. Alex Nolan getting some good work in there in relief. The lineups, again, there's not much has changed, although Griffin Conine has really tailed off. He's now got a 79 OPS plus. Chavez Young, 121, Samad Taylor, 155, and Jake Brote are really our only 3 guys who are above average. Gabby Moreno has also cooled off a great deal. For the Fisher Cats, Matt Jones, but again, we're really looking at our prospect here, Alejandro Kirk, 125. He's been hovering around 123, so that really shows a lot of consistency from him. Christian Williams has a 344 OPS plus, but he's only got 20 plate appearances. Cullen Large is about league average. Logan Warmoth, he's got a day-to-day injury, but he's got a 64 OPS plus. Kevin Smith at 90, he's fallen off a little bit. Josh Palacios, 105, and Brock Lundquist, 115. Those are the only guys who are really producing at an above-average level. Pitching-wise, Josh Winkowski got hit hard in his one start this week, but he's got a couple of other better ones. Patrick Murphy's been doing a little better. Joey Murray, strong in the rotation. He's been much better in the rotation than in a relief role, and we can actually check that here. We can see that as a starter, he's got a 2.73 ERA, 65 strikeouts in 52 2/3, and a 112 whip, whereas in 9 innings in the bullpen, 6 ERA, 144 whip, and 10-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio, which is very good. And we'll head back to the rest of the team. Weimer has had a couple of good starts now, so that's really nice to see. And Jency Diaz has been put into the closer role by our manager here. And let's go up to the Buffalo Bisons. In the rotation, Panon Omal, Taylor, Dykstra, Zoik. Tice is the closer. He's been hit hard a lot lately, so we might have to make a move there. And Anthony Bass is here on a rehab assignment. He's not full-time there on the Buffalo Bisons. We're just giving him a chance to get his feet wet before we bring him back to Toronto. For the Blue Jays, a strong week. Reed Foley's a little bit banged up. Shoemaker came back to the rotation and wasn't bad at all. Hyunjin Ryu has been great. Really no complaints from him. Pearson has been very strong. Maybe the walks are a little bit on the high side, but aside from that, overall 2.9 walks per 9 innings. So that's not too bad. Ryan Barucki has been pitching in a limited role, but not too bad either. And then we get down to Jordan Romano. He's been really a workhorse in that bullpen. 47 strikeouts in 31 1/3 innings. That's just incredible. Same with Wilmer Font, 58 in 44 1/3. Shun Yamaguchi's already given up 13 home runs. That's more than Hyunjin Ryu. That's almost twice as many as Hyunjin Ryu. Ken Giles, very solid. 37 strikeouts in 23 2/3, a 14.1 strikeout per 9 innings rate. So great stuff there from the pitching in general. Rourke has been okay, and there's been a couple of guys who have really been, meh. Danny Jansen, doing okay. He's doing better than last year offensively, and I think he gets a lot of points for his defense. McGuire has not. Hasn't done much offensively. Travis Shaw's fine. Rowdy Tellez, pretty good still. I mean, he's come back to earth more, but still. Vladdy Guerrero Jr., he's on fire. He's got 141 OPS plus. That's the best mark on the team, and he's leading the team with 18 home runs. He's got a 921 OPS. Lourdes Gurriel, very solid here. Bo Bichette is now on fire, and he has really brought his stuff back up. He was in the 80s in terms of OPS plus. Now he's at 107. So really nice to see production here for Bo Bichette. He's also got 14 stolen bases. So he's really producing all over the place. And Randall Grichuk is second on the team in home runs, 241, 320, 518. That's better than almost I could expect to see from him in real life. So I'll take that. Let's just take a look at our injuries. So we have Anthony Kay, who's got 2 days left on the injured list, but he is healthy now. Anthony Bass is on a rehab assignment, and Chase Anderson is out for another 5 weeks. In general, we've also got Thomas Hatch, and his injury was torn flexor tendon. Tim Meza is still, coming back from surgery, Tommy John surgery. Phrase, and then everybody else is, except for a couple of guys here on the Vancouver and the rookie Blue Jays, I think the DSL, everybody's, pretty healthy. And let's actually take a look at the Dominican Rookie League, the Dominican Summer League, DSL, because this is something I've forgotten to show you, because the Blue Jays are now, the DSL Blue Jays are actually in their season. They start at the beginning of June. So we've got here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 losses, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins. They're 6 and 6. And let's just take a look at what we've done so far. We've got Yuri Sanchez, Yeko Valdez, Juan Martinez, Roddy Sanchez, and Soeni Martinez in the starting rotation. A lot of guys haven't pitched. We've got 29 pitchers on this team. It's going to be a lot. So don't expect to see everybody getting a ton of innings. Really, Nathaniel Perez, that's the new Nathaniel Perez. There's another Nathaniel Perez who's a little higher up in the organization. There's not a lot of guys here who really, we should spend a ton of time on, but we're going to let things play out, and maybe one of these guys is really going to come through for us. The best players here, Sanchez has a potential 2 stars. Nobody's really a huge prospect on this team. Let's take a look at the lineups here. Now, there may be a couple of guys who we don't know, and Jesus Navarro is actually too old for this. I'm going to move him up to Lansing. He's definitely too old for this team. But here we have Elvin de Castro, and he was the Blue Jays' biggest signing bonus guy last year, and he's struggling a bit to start his professional career. He's got an 083 in just 3 games, though. And then Estevan Machado also struggling a little bit. Now, the reason why they're struggling, or the reason why they've got so few games, is because I realized very late that they were actually going. So I didn't put them into the because in this game you actually have to move them out of the international complex. So for example, here we have the international complex. So I've emptied it out for the most part. I think this guy Tocornal is very new. He was recently signed. But basically, any of the guys who had any potential, I moved into the Dominican Summer League team. So you can see here we've got a couple of guys like Mesia. He's gotten into a couple of games. De Castro and Machado, and if you ask a lot of the writers who work on the international side of things, Machado is actually the guy who has impressed them the most since he signed with the Blue Jays in July. those two are sort of the biggest two prospects. They did like Robert Robertis, a lot going into or coming out of the season. So Machado and De Castro, these are the two guys we're going to really keep an eye on in that Dominican Summer League. Now, when we look down here at the Gulf Coast League, we've got a lot of our guys that we've drafted. Drew Dowd, we drafted him. Hamro, we drafted him. Hernandez, Minacci, Norris. These guys are all guys that we drafted this year, so just a couple weeks ago. Ayala, he was also a draftee. Mejia is a guy who's been in the system for a little bit. He really didn't pitch much last year, so we're going to keep him in the GCL. Yaifer Perdomo was very good in his debut in the DSL, so we'll see how he does here. Max Rajcic, another guy we drafted this year. For the hitters, S. Jimenez was the only catcher that we drafted this year. Gary David, Javier Durazio, and Wilfran Astudillo. He played a lot more infield than catcher in the DSL in 2019. We've got a lot of guys with sort of fringy potential. Casas, these guys were all taken this year in the draft. Cook, Langford, these guys were all taken this year. Troy was taken this year. Glenn Santiago was taken last year. He's a high school guy out of Puerto Rico and didn't do great, but didn't do badly in his first exposure to pro ball in the Dominican Summer League. And again, Grice, he was a guy we took this year. We talked about him last week. Pizarro is a guy who's been in the system. Wells, a new draftee. Burden, a new draftee. J.C. Masson was a guy who didn't play last year, but he's from Quebec and was one of the youngest players ever drafted because he came out of the CEGEP system in Quebec. And so he was actually eligible to be drafted earlier than anywhere else in North America. So he was drafted. He was, I think, still 16 when he was drafted by the Blue Jays last year. He signed but didn't play in the minor leagues. So that's why he has no statistical information from last year. He didn't actually play in the minors last year. And Nick Neal was also injured last year. He was a draftee in 2019. And let's take a look at the Bluefield Blue Jays here. We've got Ian Bedell, our second round pick here. We've got Trevor Koenig, another draftee. Ethan Smith, another draftee. Whalen, a draftee from this year. And Kendall Williams, who was drafted last year by the Blue Jays. A high school kid out of Florida. Other players with some kind of potential, we've got Jose Rivas, who's been in the Jays system for a couple of years, Orelvis Martinez, and a new draftee, Josiah Miller. Orelvis Martinez is a big-time international signee from a couple of years ago, made his debut last year with some really excellent results. And here's Desan Brown, drafted by the Jays last year, Canadian kid. I believe he's from Mississauga, and really poised to break out. He didn't play much, but he did go to play in, I think, the World Juniors last season. So he only played 14 games in the Gulf Coast League. And then looking at the Vancouver Canadians, we've got a lot of guys like Brandon Eisert, who was drafted last year and didn't pitch. Gabriel Ponce, who pitched in Vancouver last year. Jimmy Robbins pitched in Bluefield. Sam Ryan in Bluefield. Saldana is a newly drafted guy. Naswell Paulino. Felipe Castaneda, another guy who I actually saw pitch on opening day in Vancouver last year. Philip Clark is here. He's probably going to get a lot of the bulk of the catching time. Ryan Sloniger, Nick Gonzalez, he's our first-round pick from this year. Leonardo Jimenez. And on the injured list is Miguel Geraldo, who he has the flu, so I think he'll be back pretty soon. And Davis Schneider, he's repeating the level after struggling there, but having a great season in Bluefield. Raphael Antigua is an interesting guy. He played in Lansing most of the year last year, but for some reason they give him very low marks, and he was a second baseman in Lansing. You can see he's got 50, but for some reason they think he's a better outfielder than an infielder. So he's never played it. He's 22 years old, has never played the outfield, and yet he is set in the game as an outfielder. And that's the way our minor league teams are looking as we get close to the start of the short season leagues, which start this week. So we're going to start to see some of these guys in action. The biggest prospects here, we're just going to take a look at our top prospects. And at this point, we have signed all of our draft picks. So here's our top prospects list. Nate Pearson's number 1, although he's going to lose that prospect status soon. Number 2, Jordan Groshans. 3, Gabriel Moreno. 4, Simeon Woods Richardson. 5, Alejandro Kirk. 6, Elvis Martinez. 7, Miguel Jurado, who is day-to-day for about 6 days. 8 and 9, Manoah and Kloffenstein. 10 is Jimenez, etc. They're going a lot deeper than they used to. Thomas Hatch is now gone for 6 to 7 months, so that's pretty depressing. And Pardinho has Tommy John surgery. We don't have the new guys here yet, so they probably won't refresh this top prospects list for a little while. But Nick Gonzalez is probably going to be very high. Looking here at Jordan Groshans, who is, I guess, the number 2 prospect on the Blue Jays list. Where is he? He's on the injured list, so he actually, he should be on the injured list. Jordan Groshans has about a 2.5 star potential. So Gonzalez with a 4-star potential is probably going to be our number 2 prospect when they do, and possibly number 1 if Nate Pearson has graduated from that list. So we're actually doing well. We've got a top 6 minor league system. That's one of our goals that that our owner has given to us. We're playing close to 500 ball. In fact, we are playing over 500 ball. And we are, Danny Jansen is a small upgrade at catcher so far. So the owner also wants us to keep building our team up in order to reach the playoffs. And, I think we're working on that. So that's it for today. I'm JayBlue, BlueJaysFromAway.com, at Jays From Away on Twitter, and you can find the 2020 Toronto Blue Jays Minor League Handbook at Amazon, as well as on the Blue Jays From Away shop. And thanks to GM Games for hosting us, and we hope you have a great day and a great, I think it's Tuesday when you're seeing this, so have a great Tuesday.